The SeaWorld chain has been adding roller coasters like wildfire in recent years. This company loves working with Balzer and Mabillard, but they've also worked with other manufacturers as well, such as Premier Rides and Intamin. In this video, I will rank the top 25 roller coasters in the entire chain. This will include the 3 US SeaWorld parks, the 2 Busch Gardens parks, and the Sesame Place parks. This list will only include rides I've personally experienced, so neither coaster at the newly opened SeaWorld Abu Dhabi will be included. I have heard fantastic things about their Intamin multi-launch coaster in Manta, and I suspect that would have placed in the top 5 had I ridden it. And if you're looking for more in-depth thoughts about any of these rides, I have a pre-existing review for almost all of them. Starting off the list at number 25 is Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is an indoor Intamin straddle coaster in the castle formerly home to Curse of Dark Castle. The ride is very atmospheric between the blend of darkness and effects. You have some screens and physical props that pop out at you. The layout is repetitive due to space constraints, but you get 2 laps due to the unique switch track, and the ride has a good sense of speed between the punchy launches and the environment. Up next would have been Big Bad Wolf at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This aero-suspended coaster was removed nearly 2 decades ago, and I was lucky enough to ride in its last seasons. The first half had some fun sights swinging past a Bavarian village and some trees, but the second half was far more memorable. You had a large drop down to the Rhine River, followed by a low turn. It felt like you'd snap into the water. It was a scary visual, and the swing continued on in the following turns as well. While this was a fun coaster, it did have some pacing issues with the lift coming midway through, and I do think the replacement ride is ultimately better. Number 24, Tempesto at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Tigris at Busch Gardens, Tampa, and Electric Eel at SeaWorld, San Diego. These are Premier Rides Skyrocket 2s. These ones are different from the others for having a 3-car train and comfort collars, but I don't think the experience changes too much between them. I don't find the comfort collars too uncomfortable. They're just awkward when it comes to loading and unloading. The ride itself is an exciting swing launch sequence, followed by a wild section atop the tower. You get thigh-crushing ejector airtime going up and down. Then you get delightful hang time in that barrel roll. Number 23, Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld Orlando. The original mock water coaster is one of the chain's best themed rides. The dark ride scenes at the start are wonderful between the musical score and physical sets, even if the main story has been eliminated. Then the coaster bits are fun too. The initial drop is good, and it has a pop of airtime. The finale is more of a novelty, but still enjoyable. The ride is refreshing in most rows, but it comically drenches you up front due to this evil little drop midway through. Number 22, for Bolton at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This year multi-launch coaster honors the aforementioned Big Bad Wolf. The finale follows the former's course exactly, as you have a sizable drop over the Rhine River and some quick turns. Then the ride has a much stronger start. You have some LSM launches with solid acceleration. Then the indoor section is a strong burst of airtime, some very forceful turns, and a nice surprise I don't want to spoil. There isn't too much theming indoors, but the dark environment enhances the speed. The ride does have a shimmy on a few of the turns, but it's overall a fun, unique coaster. Number 21, Invader at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Despite being one of the smallest GCI wood coasters out there, this ride has some pep. The straight first drop has good floater airtime in the back row. Then the layout has a series of turnarounds and bunny hills that'll pop you out of your seat, if you're on the ends of the train. The ride gets noticeably weaker in the middle rows though. Then this is one of several rides at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg that offers a good night ride because of the secluded setting. Number 20, Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego. This is the first of a few B&M dive coasters on this list. While it lacks the size of the others in the chain, this one has great pacing for the model as there's no mid-course brake run. The Immelman and Valleys have good Gs, then the later 2 inversions have some hang time. But the highlight is of course the vertical drop. You get great views of the bay and nice floater airtime on the descent. Number 19, Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando. This is one of the better B&M floorless coasters. The first drop is a little floater airtime, but the stars are the inversions. They all have some force or whip, but 2 stand out. The 0G roll is ferocious. Then the second vertical loop is buried in a trench for some fun visuals. Although the second half has been running slower after a recent refurbishment, as the train is now brought to a near full stop on the mid-course. Number 18, Great White at SeaWorld San Antonio. This B&M Invader is a clone of the Batman the Ride coasters at the Six Flags parks. While the layout is not unique, it is super fun and forceful, and this one runs well. The 5 inversions of Great G's and Whip. The 0G roll and corkscrews are super snappy. The vertical loops typically cause me to gray out, and the turns will have the blood rushing to your feet as well. Number 17, Shikra at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This B&M dive machine has 2 awesome drops. Both the initial one and the one off the mid-course brake run deliver sustained floater airtime. The only other notable elements are the force of the initial pullout and the positive G-heavy twist into the mid-course brake run. While the layout is lacking on standout elements, those 2 drops are enough to carry the ride. Number 16, Oscar's Wacky Taxi at Sesame Place. This Gravity Group wood coaster has the stats of a junior coaster, but is a rambunctious ride. It is fast-paced and frenetic. Every single hill pops you out of your seat. It's mostly floater airtime, but the first drop and turnarounds offer sharper ejector pops. Then the coaster is still running very smoothly. Unfortunately, the ride is infamous for now being closed or opening late, so may the odds ever be in your favor if you go out to try to ride it. Number 15, Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This intimate multi-launch coaster is a scenic and sprawling layout. The ride travels over and under midways, past animal exhibits, and over water. This is not the most intense launch coaster, as some of the S-hills are light in the negative Gs, but the elements are diverse. The launches are decent in power. You have a few good pops of airtime, particularly in the Windcatcher Tower. Then the barrel roll has some sweet hang time. Number 14, Griffin at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This B&M dive machine has 2 fantastic vertical drops much like Shikra, but I like the surrounding elements noticeably better. The first implement has better Gs, then the ride finishes with a few smaller hills offering some airtime pops on the way back to the station. Number 13, Manta at SeaWorld San Diego. This is another coaster whose size is deceiving. While this mock multi-launch coaster never goes higher than 30 feet, it offers a deceptively intense ride at points. The initial launch is theatric in this themed tunnel, and the acceleration is solid as well. The first half is some fun floater airtime as you dive over and under pathways. The second half ramps things up with some aggressive transitions. You get some sharp laterals, some bona fide ejector airtime, and strong positive Gs as well. And those sensations are enhanced by the raised trains. Number 12, Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. The original B&M Hyper is a wonderful setting in the woods. It is especially memorable at night because you have barely any light back there. This one is a great use of terrain and has a series of tall drops of floater airtime. That airtime is not as strong as the later B&M Hypers, but is still quite sustained. Number 11, Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. This premier ride's creation starts off with a quadruple swing launch. The launches are not that strong, but the spike offers some weightlessness. Then the hump before the top hat delivers a crazy ejector pop in the last pass. And that's not the last ejector airtime either. The top hat and smaller hills all chuck you from your seat. The trains are tight, but they no longer feature the comfort collars they originally opened with. These were removed last year. I personally find the seatbelts restrict the airtime more than the comfort collars did, but I think I'm in the minority there. Number 10, Alpengeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This B&M invert has nearly hyper heights, and that first drop is a fast and powerful spiral. Then the speed and intensity of the first 4 inversions is impressive. I usually gray out on the Immelman. Then the Cobra Roll has some wild snaps entering and exiting it. The mid-course does bring you to a near stop, but the final inversion still offers some mild whip even if the intensity does get dialed back for the second half. Number 9, Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. The first B&M sit-down coaster is one of the company's most powerful coasters. The large inversions have strong and sustained positive Gs. I start to gray out on a few of them, and several are snappy as well, most notably the 0G roll. The ride is still pretty smooth too, and the ride is nicely landscaped. I did find my most recent ride a bit weaker than those in the past, but I think it was a factor of the cooler weather and mostly empty trains. Number 8. Texas Stingray at SeaWorld San Antonio. This GCI wood coaster has wonderful pacing. The train flies through the layout, and the force is delivered too. I love the sustained floater airtime in the first drop in the back row. The other hills alternate between floater and sharper pops, and the transitions offer some laterals as well. The ride does have a slight shimmy at this time, but is still perfectly rideable and no trouble at all to marathon. Number 7. Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. This is easily one of the better B&M flyers. For one, the landscaping is gorgeous. It runs along the midway in trees, over ponds, and even past a waterfall. Then the elements are great as well. The ride balances power and grace perfectly. You really get pulled down the first drop in the back row. Then the pretzel loop is the best part, delivering crushing positive Gs for all. The rest of the ride alternates between graceful inversions and fun turns, particularly those in the second half because of the visuals and theming. Number 6. Pipeline at SeaWorld Orlando. The prototype B&M Surf coaster is a next-generation stand-up coaster centered around airtime, and it is some of the wildest airtime of any coaster. The hills send you airborne, feet and all, especially because the seat columns bounce with you to amplify those negative Gs. It is all floater, but it's very sustained. Then the turns and valleys offer solid positive Gs, and the bouncing seats make it more tolerable than the older stand-ups. The vest restraints can get a bit tight on your collarbones, but I love how unique this ride's airtime is. Number 5. Steel Eel at SeaWorld San Antonio. This Morgan Hyper is a floater airtime machine. It offers some of the most sustained airtime of any coaster between the profiling and amount of space the lap bars afford. The third drop in particular has you levitating for several seconds. The return run can be weakened if the mid-course trim hits, but usually it's not active, resulting in plenty of airtime start to finish. The one con with this coaster is that the landings after each airtime moment can be uncomfortable due to the lack of seat padding, but it's not a big issue for me. Number 4. Montu at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This B&M invert has size and power. All 7 inversions are extremely snappy, and most pull strong positive Gs. The highlight is undoubtedly the Batwing. It is one of the best inversions out there between the wicked snap, the sustained forces, and that tunnel. And then the layout is a series of trenches to augment the speed beyond that element as well. And this coaster is still remarkably smooth after all these years. Number 3. Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This Intamin multi-launch coaster does a lot of things well. The launches have some punch, but the elements around the launch are more notable. The zero-G winder has you hanging from your seat for a few seconds. Then the main swing launch sequence includes a bunny hill with some powerful pops of ejector airtime, going both forwards and backwards. Then there's a giant spike with weightlessness. Then the second half is a top hat with some more strong ejector airtime, a giant outward bank with some sustained airtime, and a stall with some lovely inverted airtime. This ride is so fast-paced and action-packed start to finish. Number 2. Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. This B&M hypercoaster is a perfect first half. The first drop, giant camelback, and smaller hills all offer incredible and super sustained flagector airtime. It is some of the best airtime of its kind out there. The second half does let its foot off the gas slightly, but it's still really fun. The final bunny hill gives some floater airtime, and the swooping turns offer some laterals and great visuals. It is also glass smooth and super rideable. And coming in number 1 is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This RMC hybrid coaster is one of the best rides in the world. It has lightning quick pacing, no dead spots, and plenty of power, both in terms of positive and negative Gs. The beyond vertical drop is loads of strong ejector airtime, and then you get similarly tossed from your seat on the subsequent hills, including that reverse wave turn beneath the lift hill. Then the ride has 2 notable inversions as well. The death roll is a high-speed barrel roll down drop with ridiculous whip and laterals. Then the stall, while not as sustained as other RMCs, still has some hang time. This ride takes my breath away every single time. So those are the top 25 roller coasters in the SeaWorld chain. What are your favorite coasters at the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens parks? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.